Hey Ian, how's it going? Looks like you're the only one here so far. Andres, hi. How's it going? Okay, people are jumping on now. I was getting worried for a second. Hey Ian. Nightmare Fuel Studios. Krista, hello. So we'll wait for some more people to jump on. It's 7:58 now. It's figure at like 8 o'clock. We'll kick it. Dina, howdy. Will. Jen Kies. Hey Ann, my Samhain was it was lonely. I didn't really do anything. We just kind of did our own little thing here. I don't have much of a coven up this way in New Hampshire, so. But all my friends back in Florida, they had a great time. Is my sound okay? Can everybody hear me okay? Perfect. Darth, just walking out of work, my man. All right, cool. I wonder if it's possible to drag this chat box somewhere else. Yep. Much better. Okay, 8 o'clock. Let's get moving. Let's go ahead and get this party started. So how's everybody doing? What's up? I thought I'd do another live Q&A because I realized I hadn't done one since I moved into this new place, which this is my new studio. Some of you have seen, and if you've seen any of my last few videos, you've seen it was in the new one. What do you guys think? Pretty cool, right? I mean, it's a constant studio at least. I don't have to keep moving around, and it works. Oh man, I hope my camera doesn't keep going in and out of focus like that. That kind of suck. But very cool. So anyhow, I had the chat moved over so I can try to read it while I'm still not looking way over here, away from the camera. But super excited about tonight. I mean, really, it's awesome, especially when you don't have a lot of when you don't have a coven to work with, or you don't have a lot of community in your area. These little chat things like this are so cool because it gives you a chance to reach out to others that are like-minded and everything, and it makes I'm excited about it. I wanted to look into doing something like this as well, but doing it where people could I guess do what we're doing now, but also people could log on in like I am, and see each other and talk to each other, like a live chat, and there'd be 20, 40, whatever people, on a screen. And it'd be great to be like face to face and everything. It would be so awesome. It'd almost be like doing like a little, almost like a little workshop or something, in that sense. But really, it would just be a thing of getting together and, hanging out and talking and, learning from each other and, all that fun stuff. But yeah, so we'll get moving. And Let's see. Let's read some of these. Somebody had asked a question earlier. Did I ever research? So Raylan asked if I ever researched animism. Did I ever research animism? Yes. Yeah, I know what animism is, and I've seen about it. Did I? I haven't done a video really about it, but it is something that's coming up in the future for sure. I think I touched on animism a little bit in my shamanism video that I recently did, a couple months ago. And just so you guys know, for anybody who's here, the video coming out next weekend is going to be about sachets, gree bags, spell bags, things like that. So it's going to be a great little video teaching how to do those and all about the sachets. Some cunt says, "Good day from Australia." And Gray, my area made a meet and greet for witches and heathens. We are growing, but we are growing, but we're not a coven. That's what I think she meant to say there. That's cool. That's really cool for sure. I mean, anytime you can get together with a pagan community, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's a plus. I went to a lot of the stores around here one day, and I specifically asked about which there's a bunch. There's so many witches up here in New England. It's just, and there's so many stores, like they're like on every corner. But the thing is when you actually go into the store and ask, like, is there any gatherings or anything, nobody does anything. I even asked about if I could do like some workshops and stuff, and maybe draw some people in and like talk to people and everything. But they said they look into it. But it's almost like the witches up here are like, they're like in the closet, so to speak. It's kind of weird. Like they're just so to themselves. Like they don't really like in Florida, there's a witch on every corner, and there's somebody all the time doing stuff, and there's always events going on. Up here, they don't have stuff like that. Like there's just very few events that happen. It's kind of weird, unless you go down towards Salem and whatnot. When you get down towards Salem, Mass, then it's like all over the place, obviously. But up here in New Hampshire, not so active. Let's see. Rigel. Oh, hey, Rigel. What's up, man? Good evening to you. So Ian says Zoom. So yeah, maybe do something like that. Somebody was telling me something about you can have like 100 people before it starts to cost something, before it starts to cost money. So, but I totally want to try that out one day for sure. Rigel asked, you may have answered my question in passing. However, are you working with a coven as an HP? I know this is something you mentioned you wanted to do in the new space of yours. Yeah, no, I don't have a coven yet. We haven't even converted the garage into a circle room yet. We're looking at converting the garage into a circle room, which is going to be cool. It's just a matter of doing it. But I'm not working with anybody. I was working with somebody when I first came up here, but they're like 2.5 hours away. In the end, we ended up parting ways, and she kind of started doing something different. Well, she ended up getting another priest is what happened. I couldn't make the drive, especially when you're driving home at like on a Saturday night or a Sunday night. And all the time she had a circle, it was always on weekdays. And, I worked 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And I'd be driving home at like 2 o'clock in the morning, not getting home till almost 5 o'clock in the morning to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to work. And it just wasn't working out. It's like, Darth says stores in your area have a lot of events. That's awesome. Good. I'm jealous. So Krista says we had a wild witches fest here in Oregon. So many people came. It was too cool. It was so cool. Very cool. Yeah. Halloween here, Samhain here. I didn't really do anything for Samhain. We had a couple, I was kind of excited for Halloween, we didn't have a lot of trick-or-treaters or anything like that. Wasn't really much of an event, but And Grace says, but there are a lot of us hiding for some reason. I know. I don't get it. I mean, I didn't even think the witches up here are hiding. I think they just they're just to themselves. Like they really just don't care. Like they're like, I don't want to do anything or be with, they're very, very, very happy being solitaire, and they like to where they don't even want to meet with other people or anything like that. Fernando dos Santos, hello from Rio de Janeiro. Hey, look at that. We got people from another country coming. That works. Elowen, I think I'm saying that right. I know. I always pronounce it wrong, but good evening, everyone. How's it going? Elowen, good to see you again. Raylan Alera, when is your child due? Didn't you say you were having a child? No. No way. I mean, I have a stepdaughter, but not having a new one. Jen Keese, message retracted. Oh shit. So, I just thought, so I wanted to bring something up to everybody and see what you think. So one thing, I made the video recently about demonology, and I put it out there, and I caught quite a bit of flack for it. Some people came on and said, how dare I sugarcoat demons and whatnot, which I really don't feel like I did sugarcoat them at all. And and that I'm a bad that I was a bad influence as far as people working with demonology or demonolatry, either one. And I even had a Facebook page take and throw my video off and said that demonology is a Christian theme. It has nothing to do with paganism, which is not true at all if you watch the video. I'm wondering what are some of y'all's feelings about that, about demonology being a part of the pagan community. And it doesn't necessarily mean people have to work with it. It's just like the Fae realm, as far as I'm concerned, with the fairies. Not everybody works with them, but they do exist, and they are something that some people work with. How do you guys feel about it? Yeah, I think I was too. I didn't think I sugarcoated it either. I really feel like some people just get triggered. They literally get triggered about certain topics, and they don't even give it a chance. Like, it made me, like, the people that said that, one of the first things I had to say was, did you watch the video actually, or did you just like see the title and just comment? Because so many people will do that too, which I never understood. How can you comment on something that you didn't even watch or listen to? One-Eyed Heathen says demon is a vague term, so depending on how you define it, yes or no. In general, I do believe demonology is a part of paganism. So yeah, One-Eyed Heathen, what I did was I did a video basically just comparing demonology versus demonolatry, those two different paths. I just wanted people to know about it, to learn about it, just to know. I mean, anybody who watches the video, at least, if nothing else, can get out of it that if somebody ever does talk about demonology or demonolatry with them, at least they have an inkling of what it's about. And Grace says, know what you're working with or against. It's like, I think I even say it in the video, never conjure that which you can't get rid of. Damon. Yeah. So Jack Osper says the word demon has been divorced from its original meaning, daemon. And I think daemon used to mean little god, if I'm not sure. I think that's actually translates to little god. X Hunter says knowledge is power. 100% agree. Old of Blessed Night says, I think some of the rejection of pagan/witch demonology comes from the whole era of no, there are no demons, devils, and witchcraft, and the desire to separate ourselves from the Christian narrative. Yeah, but I don't believe that demonology is so. so separate from, I mean, it's so much older than Christianity. It's been around since ancient Mesopotamia. I mean, demons have been around, so it's way prior to Christianity. And they're not. Now, Christianity has painted a different picture of demons, where they say like they're Satan's league and this all negative entity, this all evil being, and that all these demons are all evil, all negative beings. And that's what's not true. That's not the truth at all. These demons of old, from ancient times, have their own. Some of them are, but some of them aren't. I mean, it's just like anything in the pagan community. Just like even in the fairy realm, not all fae are positive, some are negative. It just depends. Just like people, some are positive, some are negative. It's just, they're all beings. Seraphim Rose says, why do you demonize light workers when you know nothing about it? Rainbows up your butt. If negative magic was more powerful, and we'd all be dead. Seraphim Rose, I never demonize light workers. I always stress balance. Balance is key. If you and what I mean by balance is that there's no such thing as all good, and there's no such thing as all bad. There's a balance of things, but there are people that walk around that are and it's a thing. It's actually a thing. I'd like to say that there's one side that doesn't, that walks around all negative all the time, but that's just not true. But there is groups of people that walk around where they're all light and love all the time, where they actually reject anything that is negative. And not even that it's negative. They reject anything that's not balanced. And all I say is that those people are setting themselves up for suffering, because nothing is all good all the time. There's always a balance. I think I might have stepped on a conversation going on there, but I don't think that was directed toward me. What makes it easy for a negative entity to attach to you? So Witchy Chick says, what makes it easy for a negative entity to attach to you? Being negative yourself. Being a very negative person, it leaves that doorway open, to be honest. That's why I said, again, everything comes in balance. You got to be balanced. The goal as a witch, the goal as an occultist, as a spiritual person, the goal as a spiritual person is to be balanced. Balance is the key to everything. And where Seraphim Rose says light workers is different than that doesn't necessarily mean that a person is Seraphim. Just so you know, a light working is totally like, that's not what I don't judge that. I don't talk down about that as well. Light work is its own thing, and I totally agree with light work. I'm just talking about the people who like literally, like, you walk into a room and they'll literally say, oh my God, I can't believe you're wearing a black shirt. Oh, that's so negative. You should wear white. And it's like, hello, watch my video on black is beautiful, and then come back to me. That's the ones I'm talking about. The people who take it to a different extent, and to me, they're just not real. It's just not real. To me, it's just a fake person. Seraphim says, I don't choose the bad. I got enough of it. Love is the meaning of life. Okay, great. I mean, I understand that, and I understand what you're saying, and it's great that you walk around like that, and that you walk around with that kind of positivity. All I'm saying is that I'm positive that you experience things as well that are not up to par. And as long as you're keeping that balance, that's the thing. Again, it's about balance. And I believe that if you're not setting yourself up with that balance, then you're setting yourself up for failure in the end. And Grace says, balance is the key to life. Pretending plastic witches I've come across here. Negative attachment come from drugs and alcohol and negative thoughts. Yeah. The energy you put out is what you're likely to receive, as within, so without. Excuse me. One-eyed heathen, that's a great way to put it. There's a difference between those called to work light and love and fluff bunnies. 100% agree. People who are so to where those are the people that the fluff bunnies are like the people who they literally they're fake about it. You know, it's not like real. They don't really feel it. It's really a thing of like it's just I don't even know how to explain it without experiencing it, and they're just very fake about it. Some cunt says, as someone who tries to be all love and light, how would you suggest I add some darkness? It's not about adding darkness. It's about achieving balance in your life. If you're doing all love and light and you're achieving that balance, from what you're calling love and light, because again, this is so subjective. It's a very subjective thing. It's not like something that's just like constantly like something that's just like you can tell everybody and it's all the same. It's extremely subjective. But I believe that if you're doing great, then you're already achieving that balance. And I'm sure it's not through all positivity all the time. It's so hard to say it like that because it's like it almost sounds like I'm saying don't be positive all the time, but you have to experience negativity. It's more that when negative things come around and when certain problems come around, it's about receiving them and learning from those negativities, from those problems, from those pieces of darkness, I guess you want to call it, or those pieces of negativity that come into your life. It's about accepting that negativity, embracing it, and learning from it, and turning it into a positivity and turning it into a balance in your life. If you're all love and light and something comes into your life and you reject it and ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist, that's what I'm saying is when you're doing the wrong thing. In my opinion, you're doing the wrong thing. You should never reject these negative situations and pretend like they don't exist and hide from them and run from them and just run as far away as you can from this negativity. You should embrace that negativity. This is very Buddhist. It's very Buddhist, this idea. And you embrace it and you work with, if anybody's ever heard of like the shadow self, I have a video about the shadow self. That video tells it all, explains it all. It's about taking that negativity and embracing it and turning it into what makes you stronger, if that makes any sense. So Huntress says, if you're really stressed out just because of life, do you have any suggestions on how to keep the balance? I've been going through it simply because of work and kids and etc. Yeah, watch my video on shadow self. That always works out really good. Like, turns out it's a good video. Lady Raven Moon says, if you totally live in the light, you will throw your path off balance. And when the dark does come in and it's intense, you need to stay balanced. 100%, 100%. It's just trying people to understand that. It's trying to get people to understand that. It's a tough subject. It's a tough subject. Anne Gray says, I've seen firsthand attached to a person. The person was not a good person. After she broke her kid's leg, I screamed, I saw light, and the demon was gone. I screamed, I saw light, and the demon was gone. Why? I've seen firsthand attached to a person. The person was not a good person. After that, she broke her kid's leg. I screamed, I saw light. I saw light, and the demon was gone. Why? Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of crazy. I mean, you know, when it gets into the demonology, when it gets into these entities that where you see in the Christian faiths and the Catholic faiths where they possess people and stuff like that, that's not the demonology that I'm talking about. That's not the demon. It's not the demons that I'm working with. The demons that we talk about that are like in the 72, you know, like in the Lesser Key of Solomon. I'm not saying that stuff doesn't exist. I'm saying that that's a totally different realm. And I believe that those people are setting themselves up for that situation. I believe that those people are usually extremely religious people, and they set themselves up for those types of interactions where you have these possessions in that sense and whatnot. I have yet to see a pagan person be possessed by one of these demons, by one of these demons like they see in Christianity or Catholicism or something like that. Any possession I've seen in any type of paganism is more like on a sense of like where they have like rituals like from voodoo and whatnot, and it's all controlled. And a lot of those possessions aren't negative; they're actually very positive things. Hugo 8 Track says, you work like a dog to try to be even-handed and make everyone happy. Yeah, well, I mean, let's see what else we got here. Mannun is talking about is people who ignore the shadow work. They talk about just staying high five. All you need to do is stay high vibe, meaning they ignore the shadow side of themselves. Exactly, 100%. Kimberly Kaplinger, I love you too. Okay, so let me see. So I actually wanted to talk about another thing. I got to remind myself. I got notes here on my phone. Oh, okay. Here's another thing I wanted to ask you guys, talk to you about, try to start up a little conversation. So I have recently done a video on Robert Cochrane. Robert Cochrane was a witch. He passed away. He actually committed suicide back in the 60s. He started something he called traditional witchcraft. Well, he called it traditional witchcraft, but people ultimately labeled it Cochranian craft, which is also stemmed from something called 1724, I think, or I think it's called 1724. And he had these different, it's like a certain tradition. It was all its own. But he was very negative towards traditional, what I call traditional witchcraft, which is British traditional witchcraft, which is Gardnerian, Alexandrian, traditions that work like that. Stuff that stems from Gardner that ultimately traces back to Gerald Gardner. So this guy, Robert Cochrane, comes around about 10 years after Gardner came out with his thing and decided to make something else and change it around a little bit. You can really see all the same things when it comes to the ritual and everything. They draw a circle, have an altar. The altar is a little bit different, but they call quarters, but they call it something different. They call it balancing the compass, and they kind of do the same things. Nowadays, there's a trend going along. So that I was just laying a foundation there, kind of like a little bit of a pass, so you get what I'm saying. Nowadays, there's a new thing that's come around, with everybody's calling the younger crowd. I got to say, the younger generation is calling traditional witchcraft. Okay, and they're saying that they practice this traditional witchcraft, which I don't think that. I mean, that's what they label traditional witchcraft, but what I call traditional witchcraft, again, is way different than what they're saying. But it all stems from this Robert Cochrane, from this book. In other words, there's a book out there that's literally called, I think it's called Besom, Stang, and Sword, or something like that. And there's a few books out there that talk about this traditional witchcraft, and it actually it gets their influence from this Cochranian witchcraft. And so many times I see these videos lately and on YouTube videos where a lot of these people that are into this craft, they hate Wicca. Like, they can't stand Wicca. Like, Wicca is like the devil to these people. Like, they're like, oh, Wicca. And everybody's all like horrible. And, they're just like, they don't know what they're doing. And they just really downplay. They really talk negative about it, which, whatever. But my whole thing is I'm like, well, what are you doing? And they're like, well, we do traditional witchcraft, is what they say. And that's like, and it's much older and much this and much that and everything else. But it's really all stemming. It's actually like a new movement. My question was actually, how do some of you feel? First of all, does anybody know about this? Have you looked into it, or do you practice it? And two, how do you feel about it for people who aren't part of this traditional witchcraft and who would be Wiccan or British traditional witchcraft, the religious side of things, in other words, where they're a religion with witchcraft? How do you feel about these this new movement of this witchcraft that belittles anything that has to do with religion of it, to where they literally, like these YouTubers get on. Look, it really wouldn't bother me if it wasn't for the fact that they get on and they literally degrade and they talk shit and they talk horrible things about Wicca and about witchcraft, traditional witchcraft, British traditional witchcraft to be specific. And they just dog the hell out of it. And these people are usually all between the ages of 16 and 25. Never seen one older than that. And I just don't get it. And I'm wondering if anybody else has experienced that. Seraphim Rose, you said wrong. Pagan possession does happen, especially when they screw up the magic. That's fine. I've just never seen it myself. Never heard of it. Been doing this for over 30 years. Never heard of somebody being possessed as a pagan. Even screwing up magic. Even working with Goetic Knights and working with the Lesser Key of Solomon and working diligently with the Lesser Key of Solomon, I did for over 10 years. Never ran into that. Literally have invoked demons into myself to speak to others. Never got possessed. Sean Paul says, I'm trying to find out how to use witchcraft to make money. Well, I don't agree with that, Sean Paul. I don't agree with using witchcraft to make money. It's against my Gardnerian ways. Dark, you made it home. Darth, you made it home. Good job, man. Rigel, yeah, exactly. And he did it as, it's not even that he just took his own life. It's that he called it the Great Working. In other words, he thought that unless you kill yourself, you can't reach true spirituality. And then he killed himself. So it's kind of weird. Nightmare Fuel Studio says, I see people all the time trashing Wicca, not realizing that they practice the exact same thing. 100%. 100%. I actually watched a video. There's another YouTuber out there. Her name is... she's an author too. And I can't remember her name. I apologize. And she said she did a whole video once talking about it, where she did a video where she was getting a lot of people saying that they can't escape the circle of Wicca, meaning that no matter what they practice in this new age, it always comes back around where there's Wiccan influence in it. There's what Llewellyn calls Wiccan or witchcraft influence in it. With the typical casting a circle has an altar, earth, air, fire, water, spirit, 4 quarters, calling the quarters, spell work, it all kind of all ties together. Eventually it all starts to wash and rinse, repeat, regardless of where you're going with it. And they can't seem to escape from that. And I thought she explained it beautifully. Kim, I think her name was, no, I don't remember. And she said that that's because it was around the 60s, 70s that all of this came back to fruition and came back into the limelight of things. And a lot of it was for the first time. And it all stems from the same pot of soup. So it's like people trying to create a new soup from the same stock that's always been around. It's hard to get away from it. The base is always going to be the original of, again, that casting a circle, drawing a circle, ritual, spell casting, 4 quarters, have an altar, same things on other altars, candles, it all starts coming from. So how much has it changed? None of it's that unique. I guess the point being is they can't get away from it because they don't pull from a different pool, because there's nothing to pull from, to be honest. It's not easy to find something else to pull from. So they all start with the same basis and build from there. But when you start with the same basis and build from there, you're not really changing anything. That's what happened with Robert Cochrane in that Cochranian witchcraft. He pulled from the same basis and tried to create something new. And as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, it's just a ripoff. But that's just my opinion. Katrina Gans says, I'm a simple cottage witch and can be called very religious as I worship the Celtic pantheon. Very cool. I do as well. Sean Paul said, can I use witchcraft to find a job? Absolutely. Of course. I've done it like 2 or 3 times. I use candle magic to do it. And if you watch my video on candle magic, it'll show you all about it, how to do it. And you actually write down exactly what you want, 401k, how much money you want to make a year. You put this on a cylinder candle, and, you can use like orange and green, for instance, for attraction of like, money, or an orange candle for just a job, attraction of a job completely. And I've done it a few times and it always worked out really great. Hasana Lena Karima says, hi, how's it going? So the Loud Fox says, I'm an atheist, but I have respect for practitioners of religions, as long as they aren't degrading or shoving their beliefs down my throat. Thank you very much. That's great. That's exactly the same way I feel. I have plenty of friends that are atheists. And again, it's funny because a lot of us have the same beliefs. When it really comes down to it, like even my friends will be like I have a friend who's atheist, but he totally loves magic and believes in magic and works with magic, But I guess that has nothing to do with having a higher power or having or seeing where an afterlife would come in. So I guess it would work out. But we have a lot of the same beliefs. The only thing is I believe in reincarnation. He doesn't. He believes that when you die, that's it, just blackness. Let's see. I'm going to backtrack in case I missed somebody here. Seraphim Rose, we learn from suffering. Light workers know that. Perfect. That's awesome. That's good. I know about light workers, and I'm not picking on light workers, Seraphim. Like I said, it has nothing to do with light workers. You keep lumping in these light workers thing. It's not about light workers. It's about the people who reject that anything they like we were talking earlier. They don't embrace any kind of shadow work whatsoever. Let's see if you ever dream someone is chasing you. Lady Ravenmoon says, if you ever have a dream that someone is chasing you, it's yourself chasing you. That's when you need to do shadow work. Very cool. I did not know that. That's very cool. What about if you dream like something? Okay, even if it's like, what about if it's like an animal? I have dreams sometimes that there's animals chasing me. Maybe the same thing. Kids these days are super edgy. Witchy chick, not me. I think they're making it up as they go. Yeah. Anne Gray says, I was told I do folk witchcraft, which means you work magic, which would mean you mostly work magic. Maybe even get in some old stuff, like maybe it's like, what do they call that? Pennsylvania Dutch type stuff. I forget what they call it, like up in the mountains, which is really cool. Witchy Chick says, would Wiccans recognize an ordained minister? Absolutely, of course. I'm an ordained minister. Not that it got me anything ever, but let's see. We got Rigel says, I think it's laughable that someone trashes by British traditional witchcraft while at the same time saying they practice traditional witchcraft. These people are young and naive. I 100% agree. As I'm saying, they're usually between the ages of 16 and 24. Her name, Rigel says her name is not worth remembering, it appears. I wouldn't say that. Moon, I just don't remember it. Moon something. I'm bad with names. I'm already bad with names, trying to remember. Elwin says, I have met some of these people. I was chastised for believing in male and female deities and not just worshiping a goddess. Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's balance. Tack 1 says, he sounds like a cult leader. Check one. Okay. Hugo HX says, I'm not Wiccan, Catholic, or Jewish, but my private practice has lots of bits and pieces from them all. Very cool. I seem to remember you talking about starting your own tradition. I'm curious about this and wondering if you've made progress with this. Yeah, I actually did talk about that, and I have made some progress with it, but I haven't been working on it quite as much lately. Darth, you've had success with candle magic? Yes, that's my favorite. Candle magic is my go-to. A Blessed Night says practitioners, and with the rise of the whole woke TikTok witch generation, it became cool to pretty much trash on Wiccan practitioners. Yeah, exactly. Sonalina Karima, thank you for the donation. That was great. Cochran, however you spell his name, I'm surprised he didn't take. Oh no, you're right. I feel that way too. Now, I actually spoke to people before I made that video. I actually spoke to a couple of practitioners on the phone who had been working with it for some years. And after they saw my video, they were 50-50 about my video. They said they agreed with some of the stuff I said, but they didn't agree with my outlook. They said they agreed with a lot of my what I was talking about, and I only gave the facts. And that's the most important thing, is I did only give the facts. And anytime I did express my opinion, I literally said, in my opinion, and I even put writing on the screen that said, in my opinion, so that everybody knew that this was not a fact and this was just my opinion for certain parts. When it got to my opinion is where they did not agree, because I personally think I don't like it. I don't like it. Don't like it. I think it's a ripoff, but that's my opinion. They said that they don't feel that way. Let's see, Darth. A lot of people I do ritual with are part of the LGBTQ community. I myself as well, Darth. Back when I was doing ritual, I went to a gathering back in May, I think May, June, July, something like that. It was a couple of states away, and there was some, and it was so much fun. It was like I finally got to do some ritual again, but that was the first time I'd done ritual in like over a year. Elwin, thank you. If the animal is chasing you, it's a spirit guide trying to tell you something important. Very cool. So I'm wondering next time if I have a dream like that, I should do a quick journey with that particular animal that was chasing me. A lion, a tiger, whatever it might have been. Mind Gold says, hello there. Is it possible for a succubus or incubus demon to fall in love with the spellcaster? I think it is. I think it is through personal experience. I've dealt with this personally, and yes, I believe it is, and it's definitely an ordeal. I actually did a video on incubus and succubus. If you go back and watch it, it might help you out there as well. Cheryl A says, I always have dreams about snakes. One dream was a wolf chasing me and it morphed into a snake, or snakes come out from the ground and are all over, kind of like in the craft. Interesting. So like Elowen was saying, maybe do a journey with that, with the snakes, to try to learn something from that. Lady Raven says, to each their own path, no right or wrong for the person. 110%. Lady, their journey, their path, 110%. Again, their journey, their path. I'm assuming you're talking about the traditional witchcraft peoples. If you're talking about the ones who bang on Wicca and who bang on other forms of witchcraft, I 100% agree with you. But like you said, but that doesn't leave you the right to bang on somebody else's religion and to knock on somebody else's religion. Let's see. Royal says, I truly don't want to offend anyone. I do believe there is an energy exchange between female and male entities. And for me, this is an important part of ritual magic. Very cool. Hassan says, as long as your stuff works, 100%. Witchy chick, I thought the same. I call mine redneck witchcraft. That's great. Lady Raven Moon says, could be, or depending on the animal, look up the meaning of the animal and you might find out why they're chasing you. Yeah, it's a good idea as well. Kayla Ryan says, I'm late for the party. Welcome. Swarth Alasa says, love you, bro. Love you too. Jack Osprey says, I have had a few spirits to have a relationship with me, like a romance. Interesting. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I don't really have a comment about that. Tac One wants to start a new religion. Oh, do tell. Do tell. Michael Jones Dowdy says, I don't understand atheists or haven't studied them. I think it's strange when you don't believe, not to step on toes. Yeah, I don't get it either. I don't I mean, to just think that the way a lot of atheists feel or the way they think, that it's just over. Like there is no, it's kind of a weird way to, I mean, I guess they find balance in that, and they find comfort in just that that there is no afterlife or anything, that when you die, it's just darkness, and it's just another, and there is no feeling after that. So it's not like you're going to suffer, or anything. So I guess some just find a balance in that. Mindgold says, I love your videos, and I'm glad I found your channel. I have felt drawn to witchcraft for a long time now. Also, thank you for your answer. No problem. Thank you. Potato says, do you know Shams El Marf magic book? I do not. Kayla Ryan says, I've been watching your videos for 3 years now. Thank you. Thank you for all the effort it takes to. Thank you. So Witchy Chick says, when I start my coven, will it also be online? Probably not. I don't plan on doing any online coven work, like an online coven, anytime soon. I prefer to work in person with people, like, in that sense. But it's not completely out of the question. Who's to say not putting something together? Like, it would definitely be very generalized if I ever did something online. It would be very generalized. It wouldn't be super specific, because I can imagine there would just be hundreds, if not thousands, of people. And how do you priest and or priestess a coven that has thousands of people in it? It's not really that easy. I mean, as it stands, it would be interesting. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure people do it, but it's not the way I'm used to running a coven. When I run a coven, when I worked with a coven over the past 30 plus years, it's a very personal thing. It's very personal. And not having the person face to face right in front of you, being able to know the person and talk to the person, is just kind of like it doesn't work with the way I work with covens, the way I teach covens. Let's see. Hugo, by the way, thanks about the set. And you're kind of missing Pink. I know, right? She didn't come up. She's downstairs. She didn't want to come in today. I tried, guys. I tried to get her in on this one. Another cooking show before you, Mannun. Ian, actually, I do want to do cooking shows again, because my new kitchen kicks ass. And it's got like an island and everything there. If anybody watched the video I put out about my new pad, I want to do a video in the kitchen. So I probably am going to do one coming up real soon. Probably in the next couple of videos, I'm going to do another Cooking with Mannun video. Somebody sent me a book too, and I could give them a shout out, but I don't remember who it was. They sent me a book all about, it was a cookbook, but it was a pagan cookbook, and I'll probably pull recipes from that. It's Witchy Chic. Oh, Chic. I see. Witchy Chic. Gotcha. Christian Barajo says, some witchy videos are so Hollywood special effects that are just fun to watch for the aesthetic. And then when you listen to them trash other practices, can I have to take it with a grain of salt? Yeah, true. Susan Hare says, what does it mean when you dream of rivers, oceans, and family that have passed on? It's been reoccurring for many months. I always say, Susan, when it comes to people with their dreams, like I kind of believe that you have to pull that apart yourself. Like, you have to figure out what your pieces of dream mean to you. You have to journey with those pieces, because it's different for everybody. Somebody who might dream of a dog for instance, that might be a nightmare for them. Where another person who's a dog lover, it's a great thing. So, you see what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard to stereotype them. Anytime somebody asks me about dreams, I always say you have to pull apart your dream. Like you have to figure out what it means to you by taking each piece of it out and analyzing it. You could go get like one of those dream books and everything, but I just don't believe in those. It's not that I don't believe in those. I just don't like to use them because again, they're talking about something that's universal and something means it's not universal, should I say. Everything means something different to somebody else. Again, you might dream of an ocean and it's a beautiful thing and you feel great and you feel, oh, it's like wrapped around you and you're just, oh, love the ocean. And then there's other people who are scared to death of the ocean. So if a book comes out and says dreaming of an ocean means that, it's a good thing and it means that, you're cradled in the warmth of the goddess and stuff like that. It's like, no, it doesn't mean that for everybody. Witchy Chic says, how would I go about how did you go about starting a covenant? So actually I have a video that talks all about this on how to start your own covenant and how to work with a covenant. But you would literally, to give you an answer, you first have to find a community of witches around you. So that might mean going to stores or going in, I don't know where you live, but finding a community around you, and then you put feelers out to those people. You might even ask like stores or something if you could post something that says, hey, looking to work with others that I've seen this done before, and here's my email address. Make up a Gmail address, a Gmail account, something that's not personal, because you're going to get freaks out there too. So make up a Gmail account, have them call, and then you meet the people, and then you meet them, make sure you guys are compatible, and then you start working together. The Loud Fox says, I agree with the comment about finding comfort in non-belief, and I can also see how it might be strange looking in from the outside. My life is under my explicit control. That is a huge comfort. 100%, exactly. See, like for somebody like me, just having nothing, like I completely believe in an afterlife. That brings me comfort, knowing that death is not the end all do all. It's against my belief system to say death is the end all do all, because my belief system, it is so attached to reincarnation and about living many lives to learn and to suffer to learn, and you have to keep coming back to keep learning and learning and learning, so that you do become what I like to call an adept, where you become at one with the gods, for instance, and you become, where you have a choice and you don't have to keep coming back anymore, because you've become enlightened. It's that whole journey to enlightenment, and it can't happen in one lifetime. It happens in multiple lifetimes, in my belief. If you're atheist, you don't believe that. If you're atheist, you believe that it's over. It's over. Elowen says, hell yeah, bring back the cooking videos. Silver Soul Fox, hey, how's it going? Thanks. Yeah, the studio, I love it. Yeah, it's like works out great, especially being able to just come upstairs and work in the and then do my thing. Darth says Black Cat wants attention. Well, you better give it to him or her, whatever it is. Ray Alexander says, what is on the first page of your grimoire? What is on the very first page? Basically a warning that says, if you're not part of my tradition, don't open this book. Start a covenant on Patreon. Let's see. What did you feel in your dream? Right. Let's see. Nightmare feels so. And some of you, listen, if I missed your question, I apologize. I'm trying to file through everybody's questions and trying to keep up. So it's not that I'm ignoring anybody. I'm reading everything. It's just it can be difficult because there's quite a few. How many people are on? right now. Let's see if it tells me 82. There's 82 people on right now, so it's hard to. A lot of people typing, so it's hard to keep up sometimes. I might skip something. If I do, I apologize. Let's see. Lady Raven says, "Hope Pink as well. Tell her we missed her." I will. I'm surprised she didn't jump on. I'm surprised she's not lurking in the background right now. Witchy Chic says, "Would you go with turquoise, lapis lazuli, or aquamarine for your eyes for your candle I'm making? Do you remember? Would you go with turquoise, lapis lazuli, or aquamarine for your eyes for your candle I'm making? Do you remember? I like aquamarine actually. I think that's my birthstone actually. I'm a Sagittarian. I think aquamarine's the birthstone, isn't it? Somebody might know better than me. It's usually Suzanne Her says it's usually familiar, but not. The rivers are fast, but they are not threatening. The oceans are rough, but not threatening. Same with places seems familiar, but aren't. Rigel says nightmare. Steve O would probably be a blast to hang out with. Michael Johns, it's hard to keep up now with all the new magic or crafts different witches believe. I know. That's why you just got to find your thing and go with it. You know, I have my own belief. I've met a few people that have the same belief system I do. I actually made a video on my belief system on what I believe. I'm a strong believer in I guess you could call it God and Goddess, but the reality is I believe in the a masculine and feminine. I believe in the masculine and the feminine, and that everything in creation comes from that masculine and feminine energy. And the reason I believe everything is created from a masculine and feminine energy is because it's a scientific fact that everything is created from a masculine and feminine energy. All you have to do is look around you and look at Mother Nature. And I know that some of you are going to say, "Oh no, there's some things that self-reproduce, and there's some things but they still self-reproduce and with a feminine and masculine energy that they're just bringing out of one thing." You know, they're still putting a masculine and feminine energy together to produce new life, even if it's out of one thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's not about the masculine and feminine of two different things having to come together to create life. It could be already in one organism and creating, but regardless, it's all still masculine and feminine, all the way from something as complex as a human being. There's something as super simple as electricity itself, where you just have masculine or positive and negative force that comes together to create electricity. Let's see. Ray, are you talking about egregore dynamic? Ray just says, Ray, are you talking about an egregore dynamic? I'll let you guys fight that one out. Krista Speck says she has the same belief, takes many lifetimes. Yeah, that's a common pagan belief, actually, that it's, you know, I like to see it as like going to school. Like when we're alive, we're in school, you know, and when we die, that's summer vacation. And then ultimately, you know how when you're in summer vacation and you got to go back to school again? Well, when you're reborn, you're going back to school again when you're reborn into life. Potato says, how to become most powerful magic. I meditate in much numbers. Appears. Who's King Solomon? King Solomon is a guy in the Bible. Sagittarius is citrine, and really? Wow. I don't know. I know it's blue, whatever it is. It's supposed to be blue. I mean, I throughout the years, I've always had some kind, it's always been a blue stone. Aquamarine is March. September is sapphire. What's December? Let's see. Let's see. Ray Alexander says, have you ever shared practice with voodoo, hoodoo, Santeria, etc.? Magic practitioners from other cultures. I've worked with Santerians before. I've never worked with a person from voodoo. Never worked with hoodoo, although I am doing a video coming up in the next month or two about hoodoo and voodoo. I have worked with Santerians before, quite extensively. I'm not a Santerian, and I was not initiated as a Santerian or in any aspect like that. But I'm quite knowledgeable of the Santerian. I was born and raised in South Florida. Which South Florida has one of the largest Hispanic communities probably in the United States, in Miami. And that's where I learned. I actually had a girlfriend once who was Santerian, and I was very much tied in. Very much learned quite a bit about it. Did I do it? No. Be honest, I wasn't welcome to do it. It's kind of like voodoo. I think it's possible you could do it, but it's I don't know a way to say it that doesn't sound weird, but I was not welcomed to be Santerian. You know what I'm saying? Like, they liked me and I liked them, and I went to parties with them and I did things, but as far as their ritual and everything, no, never did anything. Was never invited to any of their ritual. It was a very closed practice for initiates only. Stacy Washington says, Samsita Ravana, the incubus and succubus, still shines to bright limits this life and is a source of cyclic suffering. Suzanne Hare's diamond. I don't know. I think Suzanne's talking about the stone. I don't think it's diamond. So Rigel says, I will admit I really loved watching the Jackass series back in the day. You call me a jackass, Rigel? Ian says, need a long summer vacation after this life and have a hard think before being born again. Ian, you know what, though? I have to tell you something. I believe that I believe that most of the people that we're talking to right now, and people on this thread, and the people who follow pagan practices, are somewhat people who've been around the block quite a bit. They've been around quite a bit. They're old souls, so to speak, because a lot of us are open-minded, very open-minded. And I believe that the most open-minded of people are very old souls, because as you are going through these lives and you're learning everything you need to be learning, it's inherent to be open-minded and to be receiving of other things and accepting of other things and other practices and other ways of life. That's part of what being enlightened is a very strong part of being enlightened is being accepting. Ray says, I do believe in a polarity of the cosmic, but I also believe in the beauty of two-spirited and or neutral. Magic can be very fluid like nature. Okay. Sean Paul, I got my Mano Arula. Topaz. Is topaz a blue stone? I'm so bad with stones. Like, this is like, if Pink was here, she's all about crystals and stones. Like, when you walk into her meditation room, she has stones everywhere. Ray Alexander says, I'm really getting more into ancestral work. Very cool. Potato says, do you know Necromancer book? I think he's saying Necromancer book. No. Sean Paul says, I sacrifice chickens here in Miami. Way easier for me to be initiated into Lukumi than Gardnerian. I wouldn't doubt that. Sean Paul, I would not doubt that. Hassan says they're really private. Yes, they are. Michael John Dougherty says, I feel that there's more than just death. When close relatives passed on, I feel or sense they're never far away, near at times. I agree with you 100%. Tac One says, depends on the atheist. True. I'm sure there's different levels of atheism, and there's different belief systems of atheism, which is interesting to say, because atheist is not a belief system at all. It is to be without a belief system. But it's kind of weird, because to believe what an atheist believes is actually a belief system in itself. So when an atheist says they don't have a belief system, I kind of disagree. Silver Soul Fox says, you're turquoise, buddy. Haha. Darth says he knows he's been reincarnated for thousands of years. Very cool. Sagittarius Turquoise. Very cool. Okay. Jada Rocks says, but Sean Paul, you have a year in white after initiation. Gardnerian has the year and the day prior to initiation. And then you have the year and the day after initiation. And then you have the year and the day before second degree, the year and the day before third degree, you know, or more. The Loud Fox says, Taquin, definitely agree there. Some atheists really enjoy ridiculing others for their beliefs. I don't waste time with them. Ray Alexander, what is your opinion on the practice of necromancy? Practice and specialty. I don't know anything about necromancy, but maybe I should learn something about it and maybe do a video about it. Nightmare Fuel Studio says, Rigel, I grew up watching Jackass. I'm still a big fan to this day. Maybe that's why I have incurring dreams about Steve. Oh, geez. Nightmare Fuel Studio says, why am I dreaming about hanging out with a celebrity instead of my best friend or wife? I'm so confused. Maybe maybe you like the guy. Maybe he's influenced you in somehow. And maybe that's why. Candace Schaffer says, I'm here. I'm just listening while I make some sweet tea and pumpkin bread. Super jealous. Super jealous. That sounds amazing. Don't watch. Silver Soul Fox, I believe she's saying this. He or she is saying this from for the person who keeps having the dreams about Steve-O. Don't watch TV before bed. I have to agree. So I got my not to let anybody know. This is a glass I got from a YouTuber. It has my name on it, and on the back it says, "And ye harm none, take no shit, blessed be." And I'm having my honey gem right here, but I also have a big igloo glass full of water. I'm just sipping on the honey gem. What was I going to say? I was going to say something before I did that. Now I forgot. Hey, y'all, I'm new here in this chat. I describe myself as a witch curious. I have. Yo, E. Williams, some guy. E. Williams is some guy. E. Williams is some guy. Gotcha. So E. Williams is some guy. 2 silver coins that I carry in my pocket, and I like to clink them together. I feel a special attachment to them, and I find it makes me feel joyous and grounding. Is what I'm doing witchcraft? I don't know. I don't think I'm not so sure that would be witchcraft. No, I think that that's something that you're fiddling with, and it's making you feel better. I don't believe it's a witchcraft. Now, if you had those 2 coins and you pulled them out of your pocket to do something and concentrate on them to manifest something, then you're doing witchcraft. Oh, you know what I was going to say? I was going to say to many people's their request, I've been really strongly thinking about writing a book. The thing is just like I just got to have the time to do it, because like making these videos and everything and like trying to write a book at the same time, whatever. But I just got to find time to do it. But I did decide that if I did make a book and I do this, I'm going to entitle it. I write a book. It'll be about Wicca and witchcraft, my practices, my experiences, what I believe. Not much different than my videos, but it would be in book form. And I would entitle it Harm Ye None, But Take No Shit would be the name of the book. Jada Rock says, do you think the Harm None was in the original BOS, or do you think it may have been added? I think it was added for sure, 110%. I don't think it was added. I know it was added for a fact. Harm Ye None, Do What You Will, Harm Ye None is definitely an addition. We'll leave it at that. Ann Gray, good night, Ann. I'm actually, it's 9:08 now. We're going to go till 9:30 with this, and then we'll move from there. Let's see. E. Williams says, thanks for the response. In the midst of trying to find a spiritual path, I have a lot of questions and stuff like this. So E. Williams is some guy. Listen, watch my videos, my YouTube videos, and in the description of my videos, I have an email address and a Facebook page and everything else where you can ask me, email me, or anything. You can always ask me any questions. Message me, direct message me. I get back to everybody. I don't know if anybody noticed this, but in all my videos, I have read every single one of the messages on all of the 125 videos I have, and the thousands of comments. I've responded to every one, even if it's just a heart, because some of them don't ask a question. Some of them are just saying, hey, great video, or I really like this, or whatever. And I respond. I heart every one of them. I read all of them. I haven't yet, and I thought there would be a point there where I wasn't going to be able to, but it's not true. I think no matter how big my channel ever gets, if it ever gets any bigger, I think right now I'm close to 22,000 subscribers. If it ever does get any bigger, I don't think it'll ever be too big to where I can't respond to everybody's message. I really don't, because I love responding to everybody's messages. I look at my YouTube thing every hour practically, looking to see if somebody types something, because it's so exciting for me. It kind of like is my it's almost like my little thing to do, the pastime. It's like, oh, did anybody text anything? Did anybody message anything? And I respond to everybody. Cheryl, it's true. And suggesting video. Yeah, if you ever suggest a video, for sure. I have a list. I'll prove it to you. Look, watch this. It's on my phone. I go into Samsung Notes. I have vlog ideas. Okay. So this is, wait, let me move this so I can see. This is my phone that has vlog ideas on it. And literally, these are all the things that I have that people will send in, and they'll say, hey, do you have any, and I write down their ideas, and I'll use that list. Sometimes I'll be like trying to think of something to do for a video, and I'll use that list and I'll go through it, and I'll be like, ooh, this is a good one. This will work, and I'll do a video on it. Sometimes people ask me stuff that I don't know about, and that's a little bit more difficult because, I don't know about it. So I have to do a bunch of research first, or better yet, I have to find somebody who does know about it. And I usually have them as a guest on my YouTube channel, because it's easier for me to just be like, hey, you know all about Druidism, for instance. I don't know anything about Druidism. How would you like to be on my YouTube channel and talk all about Druidism to save me the time of having to do the research? We can just all learn from you together at one time. And usually I get there are people like, sure, that'd be great. Yeah, Samsung, totally use Samsung. Let's see. Ray Alexander says, people are not binary, but some do select light or dark. People are not binary, but some do select light or dark as their aspect they choose to work in and align themselves with. All in both forces of nature are important. I struggle between stag and wolf. People are not binary. Well, I don't understand what you mean by that, but but I totally, like, nobody can ever tell a person that there's people out there that lately that try to say male and female doesn't exist, that it's just an idea, that it's not real, that there is no such thing as a male or a female, that there is just everything's just not like that. It's just non-binary. I 100% disagree with that. Yes, there is male, and yes, there is female. Period. Science has proven that. I'm a boy. I mean, for instance. Rigo says, kudos to you, Mannun, for reading and responding to the messages as an empath. I don't think I could process that much information without having a negative impact on me. Well, let's see. Cleanse your home, Lavender. Oh, let's see. Ray says, I started off Wiccan as a kid, but my spiritual brought me to paganism just from living around the world and respect for deities outside of the Horned One and Goddess. I work with Norse and Greek gods. Ray, actually, a lot of people start Wiccan. I mean, it's almost like the bottom. It's like the first thing a lot of people get with. They'll start Wiccan and then they move on to something else as they'll find something that suits them better. Like I personally don't believe, like I had like my perspective on gods and goddesses. Like I believe again that there's just a masculine and feminine force, if you want to call it a god and goddess. But I don't put a name to them. I don't put a face to them. I don't put anything like that. I don't have like Karinanos and Caradwin as my god and goddess, for instance, or Zeus and Aryan or something like that, or Isis and Ra. I don't see them like that. Those were gods in specific cultures and specific traditions, and I don't believe in giving my god and goddess a traits of human beings, because our traits, when you start giving your god and goddess human traits, you're giving them faults, you're giving them imperfections, you're giving them, and you're therefore making them able to be judged in things like, situations. I believe my thought is very Buddhist in a sense, where it's very, I don't believe in giving them a face, a title in any sense like that. It's just a masculine and negative force, a masculine and feminine force. And that's where I leave it. I don't try to picture them. I don't try to do that. It's just doesn't work for me in that sense. But there's a lot of people out there. My point being, there's a lot of Wiccans out there, a lot of witches who believe in multiple gods and goddesses, the ones with the human traits. I always see it as like this tier. You have A tier, which is like one force that is masculine and feminine, and it's one piece that works together. It's like this androgynous form, and it's unfathomable. And then that comes down to tier B, which is the masculine and feminine force, which is where I'm at. That's where, and again, they're unfathomable. It's just a masculine and feminine force. And you have tier C, which is where you have all the gods and goddesses, the thousands of them that exist throughout the cultures, throughout the centuries, throughout the worlds. And they're each given specific titles and specific human things and this and that. And that's where a lot of Wiccans and witches are at. They're at that C tier, where they enjoy having all those gods and goddesses because they work with them. They use them in their magic and everything else. So they might want to find a specific god of the sea, for instance, where they're getting ready to go on a cruise or something like that. So they might want to work with Poseidon and his human traits that he's been given over the thousands of years to help them with their voyage, for their voyage to be safe, for instance. LOM, bye. Silver Soul Fox, see you later. You're out too. Michael says writing a book would be great. The only thing I don't like about writing a book, one of the things I don't like about writing a book, is that people tend to think that you're not legit unless you've written a book. Like, I don't understand that. Like, people, especially in the pagan community, they're like, oh, that person isn't doesn't really know anything or anything because they never wrote a book, you know. And I think authors sometimes, like, I mean, I see a lot of people out there that do other things, you know, whether they're YouTube influencers, whether they're, you know, podcasters or whatever, that have a lot of credibility and a lot of great stuff to pass around, and a lot of things to teach and great things to work with. But it's like for some reason, it's like if you haven't written a book, then you just don't count. I just never understood that. You know, it's like, it's kind of weird the way that works. Frostbite, what is the best Nordic magic book I could read in your opinion? I don't know because I don't have any Nordic magic books, to be honest with you. If you were to talk Celtic or something, I could give you an answer, but not Nordic. Stefan says, I got into Wiccan after living in Boston for 2 years. I came from a Mexican brujeria blanco practice. Sometimes my coven gets the ick from that. I work with saints and Mary. I was in the first coven I came up with, Gardnerian coven I came up with. There was I worked with Santorians that were in the coven, and I actually know a Gardnerian coven in Miami who actually mixed Santorian and Gardnerian practice together. Mine says, how was your Halloween? And also, what is your favorite Halloween candy? I myself like candy corn. Ugh, candy corn. Ew. My Halloween was very laid back. Very, very laid back. The best part of my Halloween was the place I work had a lunch thing where everybody brought in brownies and cake and all kinds of cool shit to eat. It was definitely a 10,000 calorie day. My favorite candy is Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Absolutely. 110% Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Jason Thornton says, born into a traditional religion, then faith of power greater than self. Searching equals gateway / hemisync. Leading me here and Kozyrov mirror. Any guidance as beginner on this path? Thanks. I don't have any. I do not have a comment on that. I don't understand the question, to be honest with you. Darth, you said jumped headfirst into the Nordic path. Maybe you can help Frostbite with a book. Frostbite, you also said you prefer solo witchcraft over covens. That's perfectly fine. That's awesome. There's actually a lot of people who prefer solo over coven work. I always preferred coven work over solo, but recently I've been forced into solo, so I've been learning to appreciate it more. Ray says, I don't work with divine couples or emphasize that now that you made me think about it. Yeah, it's not even like working with a divine couple, because I don't really work with a divine couple either. Would that be considered a couple? Not really. It's just a masculine and feminine force. And again, the only reason I believe that all creation comes from that masculine and feminine force is because I just look around me. Everything that's around, that's alive, should I say, is from a masculine and feminine force coming together. So to me, because that masculine and feminine force comes together to create all that is, to me, it just makes sense that must be God too. That must be God. Whether it's one force that's a masculine and feminine force, or whether it's two separate forces, it's a masculine and feminine force. Either way, I don't go that far with it. Either way, that's what it is to me. That's just my thing. Ray says, I can bet you that some of the greatest practitioners were historically do not have a book, laugh out loud, that is published. Are we credentialing ourselves in witchcraft, laugh out loud, a PhD to be legit, be published? Exactly, 100%. Frostbite, Darth Melkor, in case you missed it, says, that he's got a book called Norse Magic by DJ Conway. That could be a good start. Oh, you got it. You saw it. Rigel, thank you. I'm actually taking off in 8 minutes myself. Anybody has any last minute questions you can think of, spit them out now, because I'm caught up on the list and I think I can get there. Candle magic is your favorite craft. Have you ever worked with spell jars, representational magic? Spell jars, yes, but only in the form of a witch's bottle, and which I have a video on, which you can see. And representational magic. Are you talking about sympathetic magic when you say representational magic? If you're talking about sympathetic magic, which is like attracts like, yes, I work with that too quite a bit. Tac 1, Mannun, I think we have to have another chat. By all means, get me back channel, Tac 1, for sure. Witchy Chic, have a great evening, and I love you and Pink. Talk to you soon. Bye, Witchy. Get a hold of me back channel. Cheryl A says, solo is my way. Like I said, I'm beginning to learn that, I'm beginning to learn an appreciation for it, Candace Schaffer says, I call myself a Kemetic pagan. What is that? Frostbite says, nothing wrong with the coven, just prefer to work alone. 100%. A lot of people do. Sierra Fast says, I do believe I'm a spiritual person having a bodily experience. All right, good way of putting it. Frostbite says, haven't found one here in St. Paul, Minnesota. Haven't found one here in Manchester, New Hampshire. Cheryl A says, I have too much social anxiety to work in a coven, laugh out loud. I understand that. Especially the witchcraft covens can get very, very personal, Jada Rock says, I would love to know more about the Guard/Santeria coven. Which path do they initiate into? Guard or Santeria? Both. And Santeria, you can't go through an initiation after you've made Santos. So the coven I knew about, I wasn't part of it. The main reason I wasn't part of it is because some of the initiates in there, not all of them, the initiates in there some of them were initiated Santerian, and they were also afterwards initiated Gardnerian, or vice versa. But they were just both. They were initiated into both. And because of that, they were able to take their Santerian roots and they were able to mix the two together. I visited their coven a couple of times. And but to be honest, when it came to the Santerian part of it, whenever I visited the coven, they didn't work a lot with the Santerian part of it, probably because it was oath-bound. So they kind of changed things up and made it more Gardnerian but they made it very well known that usually they practice with a lot of Santerian influence in their Gardnerian practice. Krista Specht, good night. Candace Schaefer, Egyptian. Nightmare, if your PO box is still open, I would like to send you a gift someday. I work with it's still there, it's still open. Make sure we're comfortable with animal products first before I make something. Well, Pink does not like dead animals. Like she doesn't like I had, like, let me give you an example. I had a mount of a bass that I caught when I was 10 years old. It was like a 10-pound bass that I had my dad had it mounted for me, and I had that, and she wouldn't let me, like, bring it. She was like, get rid of that thing. Ray says, I like a coven that is unorthodox and less structured, but I do enjoy a coven leader who's highly knowledgeable. Well, Gardnerian is not the path for you, friend. Gardnerian is very structured and very orthodox. I like to call it the orthodoxy of the Wicca, of the witches. Detroit, Michigan. It's cold. It's very cold in Detroit, Michigan. Serena Lunabelle says, what ancient place are you drawn to? If you could go now, where would you go? I would like to go to Finland. And like, as far as like an ancient mystical place, I mean, who doesn't want to visit, Stonehenge? Obviously, I'd love to visit Stonehenge someday. I like that all of those European, like Ireland, England, but I really have a draw to Finland. Like, I really like Finland. I really believe I like Norway. I really like the Viking type places, especially. So I'm kind of like, if I could visit some ancient sites in Norway, Finland, places like that, I would totally love that. I always dreamed of taking that riverboat thing. That there's like a cruise. I forget what it's called, but it has to. It's like something river or river something, and it literally hits a whole bunch of countries. It goes down this river that goes through Europe, and it hits all these countries. And every day it hits a new country, and you can get out and go visit that, and you get back on the boat and you go to the next country, and it hits like all these cool places. Julie Jovanovsky says, Mannun, new to your channel and loving it so far. Were you ever on Witchbox back when it was around? Absolutely, I was on Witchbox. Are you kidding me? That was the best. Oh, I loved Witchbox. I was totally on Witchbox way back. I'm going to say in the early 2000s, like before. I was on Witchbox until they got rid of it. Let's put it that way. As a matter of fact, I went to get back on Witchbox and it was gone, and I was very disappointed. Ray says, "What's your thoughts on ley lines, and have you ever worked with them?" I haven't worked. I believe in ley lines 110%. I have not worked with them specifically though. Darth says the Kalevala Finnish myths is on my to read list. Darth, can you send me that? Can you send me that what you just said there, like in a personal message, so I can remember it? Because I would like to see that myself. Ian, Viking Cruises. Yes, that's the one. I want to do that. That's like one of my dreams is to do that. All right, guys, it's 9:30. I'm going to call it an evening. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And I think we had a great time. And like I said, next week I got a video coming out on sachets. And what moving forward from there, I'm going to do a video, another Cooking with Mannun. And we'll just, continue along. I love all of you guys and gals. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. It really is therapeutic for me when I get to talk to all you guys like this, especially since I'm not working with a coven anymore, and I don't have that. That other energy that comes in, and like I feed off of that. Like I love that, like talking with other pagans and other people, and everybody being together. So you guys are my family, So absolutely, thank you so much for joining in, and I love you guys and gals. And I'm gonna go ahead and take off, and I will see you guys next video.